Welcome to Helping DIY, where today we'll be replacing the battery on a Remington PG6020. Okay, now let's take a look at the battery that came out of the unit. Remember, the key to a good replacement is having the right replacement parts. The first thing we'll notice is the size of the battery. You can probably tell it's a AA just by looking at it or picking it up, but notice here it tells us. Next, the voltage. 1.2 volts is standard for a AA rechargeable. Next, the type of battery. This is very important because the charging unit is designed for this type of battery. Nickel cadmium, not for nickel metal hydride or lithium ion. Having the right type of battery is important to make sure it lasts in combination with this charger. Now this particular battery is also tabbed, which makes it faster and safer to solder the battery without damaging the battery from overheating. Lastly, it's a 600 milliamp hour battery that we're replacing, but we can choose any milliamp hour battery we want, preferably larger because it'll last longer. So if we make sure to pay attention to these details, we'll make sure we're ordering the right part. So it turns out finding a replacement for this battery was not very difficult. Amazon has a great option. This particular battery that you're seeing here, this is a pair of rechargeable AA's, 1.2 volt nickel cadmium tabbed, and these are 1,000 milliamp hours, so these will last quite a bit longer than the charge on the original unit. You get a pair for $3.95. No shipping cost. Got to me in about a week, and cost you about $2 for the replacement, and you'll have an extra one lying around for the next one. So I will include a link in the description below so that you can order this on Amazon. And without further ado, let's get into the replacement. Okay, so we'll begin by removing the head, and then we'll start at the base using the guitar picks to pry. If you pry at a slight downward angle, you should be able to gain access there. And then we'll slide along from the back to the front to increase the opening size there. We're just trying to release. There are 4 little snaps, 2 on each side. If we're able to release the 2 on one side, then we'll be able to get the 2 on the other side just by hand. So here, just prying, again using plastic tools to not damage the plastic of the razor, and then just finishing up by hand. Just checking the top piece to make sure there's no damage. There isn't, so that's good. And there's the battery that we talked about. The original 600 milliamp. So now we're going to go ahead and desolder that battery. I take the soldering iron, and I'm now just beginning to realize that the wire is actually hooked through a hole in the tab of the battery. So releasing the solder doesn't allow the wire to pull away. So we actually have to figure out a way to unhook that wire. And I couldn't really get those snips on it. So I just used the tip of the soldering iron just to unhook that wire, and it comes right off. On the other side, try to do the same thing. Actually turns out this one's a little bit too tight to get the tip of the soldering iron in there. So I'm going to grab the snips there, and I'm actually just going to use them as pliers. I'm just going to kind of unhook that wire. Straighten that wire out. And then use the soldering iron just to release the solder. and it pulls right apart. So there's the battery that we looked at earlier. There's a little foam piece that's just for fit, snug fit, vibration reduction. We'll take that off. Might stick that on the new battery. But there's the old battery. So that'll get recycled. And here is the battery from Amazon. It's not red, it's blue. But you see all the details there are just what we talked about. So now just prepping the wires, making sure they're nice and straight, because we don't have those holes in these tabs. So we're just going to solder the wire directly onto the tabs. We'll just prep the tabs. Get a little solder on the tab, heat up the tab. This is where the tabbed batteries really make a difference, because you're heating up the tab, but you're not heating up the battery itself. So you're not damaging the battery. So we just want a little button of solder there. And then do the same on the other side. There we go. And now we're ready to attach the wires. And remember, the red wire is the positive. And the positive end of this battery is the one with the little, you can see a little dimple around the top ring there. That's how you know which end is positive. Just melt that solder. And then on the other side, sometimes getting a good angle on it's tough. Just get the wire in close, melt the solder, touch them together, and we're all done with the soldering. Check the connections, make sure they're nice and tight. Then just put everything back together the way we found it. Take that little foam piece and stick it on there just to help with vibration reduction. Adhesive might not be so great. Just work it on there. And then just put the top back on. Click it into place. Should go together fairly easily. And that's it. We'll attach the top and test it out. And it works great. Thanks for watching. If this video is helpful, please click the thumbs up. Also, don't forget to click the links in the description below. I'll post a link to the batteries as well as a couple of the other items I used here today. Until next time, this is Helping DIY.